All right, for this lesson, this is the 2.6 ready. And a couple of other problems to go ahead and help you out with the quiz that we're going to have tomorrow on Wednesday. We're actually going to do two quizzes, but it's short. They're both really short. Make sure you bring your notes. Make sure you bring your Chromebook if you're listening to this. I'm going to start with question 1 on 2.6 the ready. It's asking you to distribute or multiply. It's pretty basic. Show your multiplication. Okay, that's my arcs for me showing my work. So 4x squared minus 7x. Go ahead and pause and try 2 and number 3. And I'll give you a minute to do those, and then I'll come back and give you the answers for 2 and 3. Number 2 should have been 15x squared plus 40x. And number 3, 9x squared minus 6x. Then we move on to number 5. It says factor the following. What is factor? Factor means divide. So if I'm going to divide, that means I remove something. Well, I want to remove the greatest common factor. What is the greatest common factor? I look at things numerically and I look at them variably. Numerically, I have a 1 and a 4. The greatest common factor is 1. Dividing by 1 doesn't do anything. It just makes it 1. So maybe that's a bad example. Let's look at 7x squared minus 21x. I'm going to divide by the greatest common factor numerically. Think about it. 7 goes into 7. Does 7 go into 21? Yes, that's the greatest common factor numerically, number-wise. Back to number 5, variably, what's the greatest common factor? It's x. So I'm removing an x, and what's left? X squared divided by x is x. 4x divided by x is simply 4. Here is your answer for number 5. See if you can continue with 6, 7, and 8, and I will go ahead and give you a moment to pause and look at 6, 7, and 8. Number 6 should be 7x times x minus 3. Number 7 should be 12x times x plus 5. And number 4 should be 4x times 2x plus 5. Then we move on to number 9. Number 9 is a kind of a key thing. Yes, for tomorrow, it's kind of telling us to multiply. And there's a key thing it wants to discuss. Well, multiplication, it's double distribution. I'm going to distribute the x to the first term and the x to the second term, minus 9x. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the other two terms, 9 to both terms. So 9 times x is plus 9x. 9 times negative 9 is minus 81. Combine those middle two terms, as most of the time there is, and what you're left with is x squared minus 81. Now the key thing they're getting us to look at is, notice these are the same, but the last term's opposite. Anytime that happens, and I don't care what the number is, here I have x plus 2x minus 2. That is what's called a special case. Whenever we have special cases, the middle terms will always disappear. You will always have plus 2x minus 2x. So you end up with the first two terms I square the last two terms, and minus 2 times minus 2 is minus 4. And your problem will always be shorter. That's what they wanted you to do there. Now, going back over to these two problems. If you flip over to the back side of your page, the go at the very bottom of the page, this is where we wrote these problems. So let's go ahead and look at these. The main focus of this is, what are we doing here? Here we are adding. Why? How do I know? Because it's telling me to add. It has a sign. When you see parentheses, a lot of times you think multiplication. It's not. So I'm simply going to add 8 with whatever like term I have over here, which is 3, so that's 11. All right? I'm just going to go ahead, just so I don't mess up my marker. I've used 8 and 3, minus 4m squared plus 4m squared. Minus 4 plus 4 cancel each other out. 2 and minus 6. 2 minus 6 is negative 4, so negative 4m. This you will not see as an answer on a test. It's minus 4m plus 11. Why? Because we do everything in descending order. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Exponent of 2, exponent of 1, constant. Everything is always in that order. That's what they call standard form. Right? Next question. If you need to pause and write it down, pause it and write it down. What are they having me do for the next one? They are having me subtract. Right? Since I am subtracting, it's the same thing. I want to combine my like terms. But this negative plays a role in what happens. This negative gets distributed to every term in parentheses. So minus 3m squared plus 6. That's what this becomes. I no longer use this anymore. 5 plus 6 is 11. So there I've used my 11, my constants. Plus 3m minus 3m squared. Got to make sure I'm doing my m squareds. Those cancel each other out. M minus 3m is minus 2m. Think of there's a 1 in front of there. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And again, it's minus 2m plus 11. There's my answer. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is exponents or radicals. I'm going to talk about question 27 and question, what is it? It's question 30. Okay? So these two right here. What does it mean to have a radical? We have to learn how to deal with radicals. Everybody knows what the square root of 4 is. The square root of 4 is 2. But why? That is because 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So the square root of 4. I have two of the same thing underneath the radical in a sense. Okay, well if that's the case, what do I have here? This is 17xyz squared. So really what I have is 17xyz times 17xyz. I have two of the same thing. Anytime you have two of the same thing, the radical disappears and you're just left with one of them. So here's my answer, 17xyz. The second one, again, I have to have two of the same thing, but I have a quadratic. Well, as of yesterday, we learned you can factor a quadratic. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, you need to go back and watch it because we learned how to factor. 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 3 is not a factor. 4 and 4, 5's not, 6 not, 7 not, 8, yes, 9, no, 10, no. I've listed all my factors, which ones add to give me 8, so I write the expanded version, x plus 4x plus 16. The expanded version tells me what my factors are, so x plus 4 times x plus 4. I haven't done anything with the radical yet. Do I have two of the same thing? Yes, so I get to remove one of them, x plus 4. That's what's left. Again, I cannot tell you enough. Ask questions and get your work in on time.